What's up, guys and gals? It's the Tyrant here, and welcome back to my weekly Q&A session where you guys ask the questions and I give you the answers. I do want to apologize for a second because if you haven't already noticed, I've been a bit under the weather. My voice is just barely starting to come back. I've been sick all week, which is why you haven't seen a video since Monday, and why for the entirety of this video I'm going to be sounding like a broken garbage disposal, so I am sorry for that. But I do have some good things to say today. First of all, I want to give a shout out to my friend Darkstar Ethan, who sent me a rec pack that I can use today for my firefight play in the background. And also, I want to give a massive shout out and a massive thank you to a longtime community member here, Spencer, who just became the second Mythic patron for my Patreon page, donating a very generous amount of money. And I want to thank you so much, Spencer. I really appreciate it. This brings us closer to our goal, and hopefully we can reach it in time. So thank you very much, my friend. I certainly appreciate your support, and I'm honestly at a loss for words here. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And for those of you who are interested in becoming a patron to help me keep this site alive, go ahead. I'm going to throw up a link to my Patreon site here. I'm not going to go into a lot of preaching this week about it, because I know you don't want to hear it, and I'm pretty sure if I talk too much about it, my voice is going to straight up jump out of my mouth. So I'm not going to do that. But there's also a clickable link on the homepage of this YouTube channel. So it's as little, you can donate as little as $1 a month. It certainly helps out, and hopefully you can do that. So for those who do, thank you so much. I certainly appreciate your support. For those of you who can't afford to donate, there's still some free things that you can do to help support this site. I encourage everyone to do them. It's 3 things. First of all, please turn off ad blocker. That way, when people like me spend hours and sometimes even while sick producing a video for you, they can still get paid for it, and I still can get paid for it. Second, you want to turn on your notification icon, because when you do that, even if a video gets wrongfully flagged, you'll still know that it went up, so you can watch it as soon as it comes out, or you can watch it later. The third thing you can do is try to watch every video that I do, even if it's not Halo related, because if you love the kind of work that I do, then you might like the stuff that's non-Halo related too. So those 3 things will help me out a lot. The only reason I'm even bringing this back up is because since the last time I actually said these things, monetized views went down, which is really strange. And I've had some low view counts for my videos too. So I'm just bringing that up. If you can do that, that would help me out a lot. You guys are such a great audience, and I certainly appreciate you taking the time to listen. We're going to go ahead and jump right into the Q&A. I want to apologize again in advance because I can barely talk at this point. I've only chosen a few questions this week, and so I apologize for those of you, especially who've been asking for several weeks in a row, asking certain questions with me. I apologize. Please don't take it as anything on you. Just go ahead, and you don't even have to copy and paste them into this week's section. I'll go ahead and revisit them, just to be on the safe side, because I want to get to all your questions. It's a shame too, because I wanted to do sort of a mega Q&A, since it's the last Q&A before the end of the year. And I thought it'd be cool to do like 25 questions or something like that. So maybe I'll do that next weekend to make up for the questions that I missed this week, because you guys ask me great questions. You take time out of your busy day to ask them, and I want to make sure I can get to as many of them as I can. And of course, speaking of New Year's, of course, we just had the holidays. I hope everyone had a happy and safe holiday, and I hope everyone has a very happy New Year as well. Tomorrow I'm going to try to do a live stream for most of the day for, if not all, I'm going to try to do all the Halo games, or as many as I can. I won't obviously be speaking, but I'll at least be playing. So if you want to tune into that, I'm not really sure when I'm going to begin. So again, click that notification icon, and you'll know as soon as I'm live. So thank you very much for joining me. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Our first question of the week comes from my buddy Spencer, again, our newest donor. Thank you, my friend. And Spencer asks, when Chief does die, what do you think what it will mean for the UNSC? For example, when Chief dies, Will the UNSC lose the war with the Covenant or the Prometheans? I think this is a cool question. Here's my theory, because I've talked about what happens, what will ultimately be the fate of the Master Chief in this series, and I do think it's going to be some sort of self-sacrifice, maybe even switching places with Cortana, where he becomes digitized and she becomes an actual carbon-based being. As crazy as that sounds, I've explained in other videos how it might be plausible via the composer. To be honest with you, my answer would be I would hope that when he makes that sacrifice, it's to ultimately win the war. And that's what I'm really hoping for. So at least that wouldn't be an issue. Maybe they'd hold an even cooler memorial for him than the one we saw at the end of Halo 3, where they just simply sketched out his Spartan number on there. Maybe they'd actually have a proper send-off, maybe a statue. Think of like the Dark Knight Rises. I think that would be kind of cool. That's the only thing I can think of, Spencer, but I hope that answers your question, my friend. And again, thank you. I really appreciate your support. Our next question comes from Nebulous Cheetah. And Nebulous Cheetah asks, what if Halo was never made and Halo CE were to come out today exactly how it is with better graphics and multiplayer matchmaking? How do you think the gaming community would react to it, and how gaming overall would have evolved without Halo? You know, it's funny that you mentioned that, because a few weeks ago I mentioned the movie that I wanted to make, or the web series called Shrine, where my character ended up becoming president of the United States, and a lot of it revolves around an alternate reality where Halo doesn't exist and Microsoft is actually a weapons contractor, and it gets kind of crazy. But I guess to get to your point, it's sort of a complex question, because the first thing I would jump to is, without Halo, would we have a lot of the modern games that we do? Or at least would we have them in the same form? Because a lot of modern first-person shooters have borrowed concepts from Halo. So I don't know what it would be like. Now, having said that, you know, if we were able to get along with it, the thing of it is awesome, and as Halo is, and as much as I love Halo, the problem with it is, if you look at it from something that's 16 years ago, if FPSs have learned to have enhanced movements and all these other options, if Halo came out straight up like it was, I feel like it wouldn't get the attention that it did back in the day. Remember, Halo was a pioneer game. It was the one that paved the way for many others. It was the launch game for Xbox, and if it hadn't been, I still think it would have been kind of a hit. Maybe not as big, but I think people still would have gravitated towards it if it were released. But at the same time, going back again, the Halo really didn't have a lot of competition back in the day, and actually didn't have any real competition until Call of Duty came along and had sort of a name for itself when Halo 3 came out. By that time, that was when Call of Duty sort of had its own fan base as well. And so I don't know if people would be as hyped for Halo now just because of all the other options out there, but at the same time, I don't know if those options would exist without Halo. So I hope that answers your question, Nebulous, and I certainly appreciate it. By the way, here's another Patreon member, so give him a pat on the back. Our next question comes from yet another patron who's here quite often. Always good to see you. It's CFunk99. And C-Funk asks, hey Tyrant, as much as I love 343's games, do you sometimes feel like things would have been better if those games never existed? Should it have ended at Halo 3? Should it have ended at Halo Reach? What if we had gotten remastered versions of the old games on Xbox and Xbox One and PC? Would we still be happy? I think that no matter what direction you go, there's still going to be people who are going to be angry and pissed, because we live in an entitlement world. We're an entitlement species. And I think a lot of people would have loved to see Bungie continue Halo, because keep in mind, if Halo had ended, say at Halo 3, then it would have never switched over to Microsoft. It would have remained in Bungie's vault. Part of me wishes that it had stopped at Halo 3, just because that was the height of the community. In my opinion, that was the pinnacle of Halo. And, you know, I think that could have lasted for many years. And who knows, we could have still had fan games like SPV3 that came from that. That would have been a cool way to end on a high note, but you would have had to have taken out the legendary ending, because that just leaves it open for more questions. And no one likes a cliffhanger ending at the end of a series. Halo Reach for some was a great game. I don't deny that it's not a fun game. So, you know, I don't know if I would have ended it at Reach or if I would have ended it at Halo 3, because Reach in its own right was an important game to the franchise. And I like the fact that it was a prequel, but at the same time it sort of messed with the canon. So part of me wants to say they should have stopped with Halo 3. So I don't know if it still would be big. I think that it would definitely still have a following. I think it would definitely still have a community. I think that we would have had a stronger community last longer. Like, the community sort of dropped off a lot once 343 took over, and I'm not blaming 343 for that. I'm just saying that, moving from one site to another is a big deal for a lot of people. And I can understand people's issue with that too. So I think the community would have remained stronger longer, if that makes any sense. And yeah, to a point, I can see them making remasters, I'm trying to think, in like 2015, 2016, 2017 era for Xbox One and Xbox One X, or just do it for the anniversaries. 2011, they would have come up with Halo Anniversary. 2014, it would have been Halo 2 Anniversary, and then for 2017, Halo 3 Anniversary. And I think that would have been enough to keep at least a lot of fans still in the Bungie.net forums and keeping the community alive. So it could go either way. Personally, I like Halo 4 and 5 for individual reasons. They may not be my favorite Halo games, but I still think they did a decent job on them. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments. Would you have rather Bungie stop when they did Halo 3 like they said they were going to do, when they said that was finishing the fight? Or are you happy with the fact that it continued? Just let me know in the comments below. But that's a great question, C-Funk. Thank you. Our next question comes from Pack Hunter 117. Love the numbers there, my friend. And Pack Hunter asks, Q&A, could you do a legendary walkthrough of Awakening the Nightmare and the Operation Spearbreaker missions for Halo Wars 2? I'm asking because I'm having a really hard time with Awakening the Nightmare, and that way I would completely finish Halo Wars 2. I certainly have intentions on doing it. I was going to do it a while back. Part of the reason why I didn't jump on it right away is because I finished my legendary walkthrough for Halo Wars 2 within 2 weeks of the game being out, which is the fastest I've ever done a walkthrough. Nary a mention from 343 or any of the folks there. It used to be that whenever I wrote a walkthrough, it would be on the front page of either Bungie.net or Halo Waypoint, and it sometimes even made the carousel. But when I did my walkthrough for Halo Wars 2, nothing, not even a tweet or a retweet, and I found it kind of depressing. Again, I'm not blaming anyone there. They probably have a lot on their plate right now, but I was a little disappointed that they didn't recognize it at all. The answer to your question is yes, I am planning to after I finish doing my Halo 5 Mythic guide. That'll give me something else to do. So yes, I do plan on doing it eventually. So hang in there, my friend. I'll get you to the finish line. Our next question comes from Luke Pearsall. I'm sorry, bud. If I'm mispronouncing your name, I do apologize. I'll say Luke Pearsall. And Luke asks, Q&A, who is your favorite Halo Wars 2 leader in terms of character? Hands down, that's going to be Sergeant Avery Johnson. He is one of the coolest characters in the entire franchise, and I am so happy that they brought him back and they put him in Halo Wars 2. I think it definitely needed him in there. So, yep, that's my answer right there. And tell me what your favorite one is, Luke. You can let me know in the comments below, my friend. Our next question is from No Chromie Honey. I can't see it from here. I apologize again if I'm saying your name wrong. Like I said, I'm not exactly in tip-top shape today. And Chromie asks Q&A, so the gaming market is just plagued with microtransactions and people want games without them. So if Halo 6 didn't have any microtransactions, do you think that people would buy it so that they could get away from spending more money? Do you think that it could even revive the series since new people are coming to play Halo? So I think I've made it pretty clear in the past, I don't approve of microtransactions in video games. I don't care that much if they're in mobile games. They're all pretty much pay to win anyway. Most of them are. But in terms of video games, that's our mainstream. Those are our babies right there. We should never have those in standard video games. Having said that, I'm willing. I feel like my colleagues would back me up on this one, where they weren't as bad in Halo 5 as it could have been. It wasn't as bad in Halo 5 as it was in, say, Star Wars Battlefront 2 or Call of Duty World War 2. at least they're more passive in Halo 5. For example, really you can only use rec packs in Warzone and Warzone Firefight. You can't use them in Standard Arena. Having said that, you still need to open rec packs to uncover new armor and new weapon skins and stuff like that. And that I'm not for, just simply because it's not just about buying those things. It's also the fact that it's a lottery system. You don't know what you're getting when you get a rec pack. You could be getting something you already have, or you could get something new, but something that you weren't looking for. So I'm not a fan of the system, but the two games so far that at least didn't seem to abuse it too much, if at all. First of all, I think Titanfall 2 did an excellent job with their system because nothing was mandatory, and buying those things didn't give you an advantage on the battlefield. Most of that stuff that you would buy is just cosmetics, and I think that's a great idea, and I hope Halo does that in the future. But like I said, even with Halo 5 Guardians, it only affected one small aspect of the game, and I can sort of deal with that, but I'd still like to see them trim it back. Do I think it's going to bring back a lot of old school players? No, I don't think that's going to be a big difference. I think it's just going to be having a compelling story and gameplay that works for everybody, or at least works for the majority. So I hope that answers your question, Chromie, and thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. I'm just now realizing that last word is homie, so I apologize if I said anything wrong, but it's good to have you here, man. I appreciate it. And our final question of the week, our star question, comes from our very own Austin K. Always good to hear from you, Austin. And Austin asks, do you think Master Chief should have a face reveal in Halo 6? Would this be a good or bad idea? Thanks for the amazing content, buddy. I certainly appreciate your kind words, Austin. This is a complicated issue because I understand, first of all, you understand, I'm sure, that the reason why there was no need to show Master Chief's face before, or why there was no intent to show Master Chief's face when the series started, was because Bungie wanted Master Chief to be you, the player. That's why you didn't hear him talk very much. That's why he was very generic, very bland. He could be anybody, and I liked that. Besides, we all know what's under his helmet, and that's another goddamn helmet. But I think in reality, that's what they wanted. But they also weren't intending for the series to continue as long as it has. We've seen a lot of character development for the Master Chief over the last couple of games, more specifically Halo 4. And so now we see him more as a person and not just, an avatar on the screen. So we saw a little bit of his face at the end of Halo 4's legendary ending, not a lot. Enough for people to try to reconstruct it on the internet, which is kind of interesting. But at the same time, there were other fans who sort of cried out, it's not supposed to be that way, and yada, yada, yada. I think you're going to get pushback from either side. Some people want to see him, some people won't. I think that it sort of harkens back to the first question that was in this video about him dying. If something does happen to the Master Chief in either the next Halo game or sometime down the road, I do think that it wouldn't be a bad idea necessarily to show his face if he's not going to appear in any other game going forward, or at least not chronologically. It wouldn't be the worst idea, especially since we spent so much time with the Master Chief. It could be a huge send-off. On the other hand, I can still understand people, and I wouldn't be against this either, never wanting to see his face and having that remaining sacred for Halo fans across the world. Besides, look at it like this, even if you saw his face, so what? It's computer generated. It's not going to be like, oh my gosh, I know him. No, you wouldn't recognize it anyway unless it was based off of somebody else. Who knows, maybe they would base the face off of the actual Steve Downs. He's a pretty cool guy, so I wouldn't mind them doing that. But in the long run, I can see it going either way. I can see a lot of classic Halo fans especially getting upset about it and, just leaving the Halo franchise forever. I can also see some classic fans saying, oh, that's finally what he looks like. That's kind of cool. So I think it's subjective. It depends on what the people want in general. I don't know what the people want. I'd be fine if they did it either way. I can understand if it would be a bad idea, but I can also understand it being a good idea if it's his last appearance. If there's going to continue in other Halo games, if there's going to be more after Halo 6 chronologically, no, they shouldn't reveal his face. I think it should be, if they're going to do it, a final frame of the Master Chief, if you will. So that's all I would say about that. And I'm kind of curious as to what you guys think. You know, what are your thoughts on it? Do you want to see Master Chief's face in his last appearance in a Halo game? Do you want it to stay sacred? Do you want it, or sacred and sacred? You know, what are your thoughts? Or are you completely indifferent to it like I am? And you can let me know in the comments below. Before I end this video, I do want to say, yes, I know I forgot how to tell you how to submit questions. I figured I'd save it for the end anyway. But if you want to submit a question for a future Q&A, there's 3 ways you can do it. You can either post it in the comment section below of this video. You can hit me up on Twitter at MythicTyrant. And of course, if you're a patron member, we have a private community Discord, and there's a special section in there for Q&A, so you can ask it in there as well. So that's all I've got to say about that. Thanks so much, guys and gals, for watching. If you like what you see here, go ahead and click that subscribe button for more great content every single day right here on MythicTyrant.com. I really appreciate you stopping by today. I hope everyone has a very happy new year. I will catch you all right back here next time. And as always, I'm the Tyrant, signing off.